Hello. How is everybody? Good to see you guys. Hello, Recliner. Hello. I'm really, really sorry about yesterday. Um, we had a we for the past couple of days we've had a whole parade of contractors in and out of here. Um, and one of the things that happened yesterday is that our internet got knocked out. And I didn't discover this until I came into the office to set up my stream, like put all the videos up and stuff. And so I didn't know how to fix it, and it was a whole mess. And then Negs got home and he fixed it. But yeah, we've been having a whole series of home related fixes. This is what happens when you get a lot of snow. I know Anna's here. She's going to laugh at me. She's going to poo poo my claim of a lot of snow, but it's a lot of snow for the United States. All right, let's just put it that way. And so we've had a lot going on. And so I couldn't get my internet to work. And now it's working. So not only can I do the stream that I wanted to do yesterday, but I can add to it because there's been more contents. And I am thrilled about that. So I'm really, really glad that more people are watching the Magdalen Berns stream that I did. I didn't think that that many people would be interested, but apparently they are. Unfortunately, in the beginning, the stream was knocked clear out of the algorithm because Magdalen used a lot of copyrighted content in her video that I played, or the videos that I played. So it was demonetized and it was restricted in certain areas. And so I had to go into studio and I had to get rid of the copyrighted stuff in the stream, which meant that then it got kicked back into the algorithm and it gained hundreds of extra views, which was very cool. Hi, my love. How are you? So I'm really pleased. And I thought, okay, I am remiss because there were one or two videos that I didn't include in that stream, which I should have. So I'm going to include them now. But we are going to get started. We are going to get started with Zachary Michael, who uploaded an extraordinary video the other day, which Crochetter let me know about. And he goes, "You have to watch this." And I thought, oh God, here we go. And I don't know what it is with Zachary Michael, but there's some kind of a weird like rule in the community that nobody can criticize Zach because he's some kind of a magical woodland creature, like an adorable wood sprite that nobody is allowed to talk about. Well, certain people are talking about him now because after years and years of telling Amber Lynn to pull herself together and get her act together and stop moaning about breakups and stop doing this and you need to do this and you need to do that, and presenting himself as like the model of how to live your life. Now Zach is having a complete breakdown on social media, which is the last place you want to have a breakdown. Okay. And if nothing else, between the YouTube videos and the Zachary Michael snark thread on Reddit, we are getting a really good look at how different Zach is on Twitch versus how he is on YouTube. The YouTube channel is like the pristine, or it has been up until now. It's the pristine channel where he can do his reacts and be shady and toss his hair around and shit. And the Twitch channel is where he goes to trauma dump and sad fish to his audience about his life and about his breakup and about his mental health and all of this stuff. Now, I don't watch Zach on Twitch, nor will I ever. I have no intention of doing that. And that is why the good Lord invented the Zachary Michael snark thread on Reddit. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch his video from yesterday. Lulu, how are you? Penny, it is good to see you. It's good to see everybody. Hello. And then we're going to read an entry from the Reddit thread. And we're going to see how much he holds to the advice that he gives out to other people. Oh, and by the way, speaking of which, Negs, thank you. I, as a rule, do not jump on a panel because somebody orders me to. All right. If somebody comes at me sideways and is like, why don't you get on this panel and talk to me? Rest assured, that's a panel I'm not going to be going on. If I want to talk about somebody or I want to respond to somebody, I'm going to do it in a way that makes this household money. It's either going to be on NEGZ's Twitch channel or it's going to be on our channel here on YouTube. I am not going to jump on a channel or a panel for free. And I know that it was NEGZ's Twitch channel where this panel took place. I get it. But the one way that you can guarantee that I am not going to hop on a panel is if I know that you desperately want me to hop on that panel because you want to tell me about myself. That's how you can be absolutely sure that I'm not hopping on, just so that I don't give you the satisfaction of hopping on a panel. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's pull up Zach's video first. It's called An Honest Update About My Mental Health. Well, we'll see about that. And I've sped it up because it's a lot. All right, so let's go ahead and listen to Zach speak honestly about his mental health. Let's go.
Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and this is Potato.
Oh, by the way, I also found out, thanks to that Reddit thread, that I found out that he did sign up for that dating site Raya, or Raya, however you put it. It's a dating site that is supposed to be for like super rich people, celebrities, influencers, and stuff. So he signed up for that. So Godspeed, Zach. I'm sure that that's going to work out super, super well for you. I don't think that you are at the level of fame or in the income bracket that would attract people on that site, but you never know. So let's go.
Welcome back to our channel. Hey everybody, the title of this video, I don't know. Well, first of all, I don't really know what's going to come from this video. I have some things on my mind that I figured I could just come on and yap about a little bit.
Sure.
But I assume that the title of this video will have something to do with like my mental health and things like that, because that's the general topic that I wanted to cover. Especially because I just saw a screenshot some people from my Twitch community shared where Amber Lynn, I'm guessing, was in Elizabeth Richardson's live stream. To be honest, no idea. To be honest, could I go dig deeper and try to find where that screenshot came from? Yes. Do I want to? Do I care to? No. But anyways, I saw this screenshot where Amber Lynn proclaimed that on the 17th she would be responding to me, or that a video responding to me would come up, which I kind of did anticipate a little bit, if only because she's about a week behind on stuff. That's why we relived a bunch of stuff about the crumble cookie situation, because she brought it up at the time on video, but she's got everything pre-recorded, so it didn't come out until a week later. So I assume that if she was going to respond to me, or, you know, like my outburst in response to her talking about my mental health, that it would be coming sometime soon, if it ever was coming at all. So anyways, in light of that, I have many times thought about sitting down and like talking a little bit about where I'm at and things like that. I do that, I think, way more often on Twitch. This isn't a plug for my Twitch, but feel free to go watch me over there if you want. But I do talk a little bit more about my life over there, although still somewhat limited. It's not like
a little bit more about your life. A little bit more. It's somewhat limited. There never seems to be a shortage of material to fill up that Reddit thread, given how much information Zach reveals about himself on that Twitch channel. Not only about himself, but about his family, about his friends. He mentions them by name. He goes into detail. He talks about Noel. He talks about his lack of a social life. It's nonstop from what I understand. So no, not just a little bit. Okay, let's keep it 100.
I'm sitting here vlogging my life or anything. Anyways, I've been thinking about talking about my mental health as just like a general update for folks, because I know that y'all know, and Amber Lynn knows, well, maybe, I don't know, she insinuated my mental health was not real, authentic, or genuine, and just an excuse to not post a video or whatever. But anyways, all that to say is, like, I figured a general update might be helpful. Okay. I have been struggling because of a breakup for the past 4 months. Actually, end of this
Longer.
month, beginning of February will have been 5 months. So
Yeah.
it's also like, I am happy to say that, like, I feel like I'm starting to make some positive, like, moves forward. I think we're making some progress. Life feels like there's an opportunity to move on, but it's been difficult, and some days are harder than others, and it's kind of crazy because, like, you get unexpected reminders of everything that happens sometimes when you're feeling great, when you're feeling.
Yeah, okay, that's true. That's true. You can round a corner, you can see something that reminds you of someone or some event that happened or whatever. Zach, it doesn't mean that you have to run to the internet and tell your audience all about it. It doesn't. And honestly, between all the therapy that he's doing and the way that he trauma dumps incessantly on Twitch, and now he's going to take it to YouTube too, I don't see how this is helping him. I see him getting worse, actually. So this thing of, I'm getting better, I don't see evidence of that. I just don't see it, especially when he himself admits that he not only tries to keep his therapist on speed dial, and thank God the therapist has established a boundary and said, no, I'm not available to you 24/7. You're going to have to learn some coping skills. He also uses his personal trainer as a therapist. He trauma dumps all over his audience. He's driven all of his friends crazy. And as far as I know, he has neither a Netflix account of his own yet, nor has he replaced the bidet. So, no, we're not quite recovered yet, are we, Zach?
Feeling wonderful. Like, as a way of an example, I, at the beginning of this week, was feeling wonderful, woke up Monday morning from a dream where I basically relived my breakup and was devastated. And it like really dragged me down that day. And I was like, wow, I really have to pull out like literally every tool that I have to like keep it moving. So I said, you're going to sit down and you're going to film a video actually because you need to take your mind off of this. And then you're going to live stream actually because you need to take your mind off of this. And actually you're going to make plans with some friends tonight so that you can like get out of the house and talk to some people that care about you, be surrounded by people who support you. And it's just, it's just every day. I keep joking about this, but my dearest friend Cheryl Crow did in fact once upon a time say every day is a winding road. And that's really truly what the past like 4 months of my life have felt like. But I feel a little bit better every day. Sometimes we do take a few steps back, but I really have been working on it. I have really been utilizing therapy, not just to like process my feelings and emotions surrounding everything going on in my life, but to also like continue working on and building skills in terms of like coping and stopping some spiraling and looping and things like that. And honestly, what I originally was thinking about doing today's video about was to talk a little bit about how the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City have saved me. I actually tweeted.
Hi, Clark. I remember Oswald Cobblepot. It's good to see you. Good to have you back. Welcome back.
Tweeted something similar. Now, listen. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, not a replacement for therapy. But it is a form of escapism. Like, it is a way that for the past 4 months of my life, I have found a way to escape. And anyways, the season finale was just last night, and I watched the episode while I was at the gym this morning on the treadmill. And I was just like, wow, this crazy nonsense, fucking chaotic, whoever, whatever of a show has really got me through, because I had watched the first season a long time ago with my ex, and then I watched the second season, started watching the second season with my ex. He decided he wasn't interested anymore, and I kind of put down the remote and stopped tuning in. And then at some point, I did start picking it up again, finished season 2, but then didn't touch it again. So at the beginning of my breakup, I was like, well, it's back to Salt Lake City, baby. I binge-watched season 3. I binge-watched season 4. And while I was doing all that binge-watching, season 5, the current season, started airing in real time. And I got all the way caught up to the point where I was waiting weekly for new episodes to come out. And so here we are. Here we are. And I have spent so much time with all of these women, with Heather, with Whitney, with Lisa, and Meredith, and Bronwyn, and Mary, and Angie.
Oh, boy.
I have just spent so much time with them, so obsessed with them. And none of them are great people. They're all relatively terrible people. Well, I don't know. I think also some of them have some good qualities too, but like they're all awful to each other at a minimum, And so, I know, it was just like, I was thinking about coming on here today and being like, oh my god, the season finale blew my mind! And that's true, it did. It was gag-worthy. I barely even noticed I was on the treadmill as I was watching it, because it was just like craziness after craziness after craziness. And then I started thinking about how that has been such an escape for me, and how oftentimes like people have commented on my channel about how, like I'm an important part of their daily routine
Oh
and
boy.
I am an important part of their lives, and that like, sometimes all they need for the day is like 30 to 60 minutes to like get away from whatever's happening in the real life to sit down and watch my videos.
Yeah, Zach, that's because you have built a community full of people who have developed parasocial relationships with you, which is always a dangerous thing. I mean, it's great that you can entertain people. That weird Real Housewives segue was odd. I mean, if that's what you have to do to get over it, then fine. But you do realize that it's all scripted and that those women are a bunch of hags. I don't get it. Like, I'm not going to be a Real Housewives hater. I don't watch the show. I haven't watched Real Housewives in like a decade, basically. Um, the last time I watched Real Housewives, I was going through chemotherapy and I couldn't focus on anything. I couldn't follow complicated plots. I couldn't do any of that. So I would watch Beverly Hills, because I would watch it, I would forget it instantly. The minute that the episode was over, I wouldn't remember a thing. And it was just something to look at while, I was dealing with chemo brain and shit like that. But if you want escapism, then why don't you watch Wicked? Have you seen Wicked yet? I think you'd really enjoy it. Yeah, see, this is the thing. I mean, he goes after women on his channel. And it's not just fat women. He also goes after women who like to shop at the Dollar Tree. And so he gets a bunch of unhappy, clingy, parasocial women in his chat who think of him as like the adorable gay best friend from the movies. And they all sit around and they rag on the same people together. And in my experience, the types of women and it's mostly women, who are drawn to that type of content are women who are incredibly unhappy in their real lives, dealing with all kinds of issues, whether financial, dietary, family related, whatever, and they all join into a fucking hate fest. And just because Zach is one of the less, evil ones out there, it's still the same content. It's still the same thing. But if you can make a bunch of lonely, unhappy cat ladies happy for an hour a day by being the gay best friend, then okay. But you're not reinventing the wheel and you're not splitting the atom. You're not Christopher Nolan. Everybody calm the fuck down. You're not that entertaining. Let's go.
And hang out with me. And I was like, I am somebody's Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. like I'll never be those women. I wish. I will never be those women. But I am somebody's Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And then I started thinking about something I actually wanted to like say in a video at the end of the year. And I think I did kind of mention this in a video in passing, but I had an idea that I was going to do like a dedicated video where like I acknowledged how grateful I was for people, because, and by people, I mean specifically people that have like come to my channel, watched me and supported me and enjoyed what I do over here and all of that, this, that, the other. I really mean it when I say that like all of the people in recent history and in general throughout time on my channel who have shared with me the stories about how significant my channel has been to them in terms of just like being a part of their daily routine, helping them take a break from the stressors in their lives and things like that, like has honestly meant so much to me. It's helped me find like a different level of meaning in my life.
I'm sorry, but that is sad as fuck, and that says a lot about your audience. It really does. That's really sad. It tells me everything that I need to know about your audience. And it's pathetic.
Well, be honest, like yesterday, even just yesterday in a video, I was making a joke about how someone in the universe, God or goddess above us, made a decision for me that I was not meant to be a pharmacist, but I was meant to sit here and react to the girls. And
yeah, that you were meant to sit here and make money off of a bunch of lonely cat ladies by mocking and dragging women that you've never met on the internet. What an amazing occupation, Zach. What an incredible mandate you got from the Lord Almighty. Sometimes I wonder if these people listen to themselves.
And I was joking. Well, first of all, I'm a devout atheist, so I don't think there's anybody out there making any kind of like decisions like that for my life. But I was mostly joking. But I also joke about what I do on YouTube, on the internet all the time. Because also, let's be honest here, while I have found a lot of meaning in this, I'm also not doing anything incredibly serious, right? Like, I am stupid and goofy, and we make poop jokes, we make pee jokes, we make sexual innuendos. Like, it's not serious. Just like, honestly, I don't think any of the women on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City are serious, right?
We're back to
also,
Real Housewives.
with all of that being said, I at some point I've got to stop like acting like what I do here doesn't matter. You know, like just every single thing I have to say about Amberlynn or Chantal or the Slaytons. Or maybe I shouldn't bring up the Slaytons. People are still waiting for me to talk about the 1000 Sisters. But like, is all of that always like the most important stuff in the world? No, but like what we have done over here collectively, you, me, you, the audience and me, is like create a community of goofiness and silliness. And in a world where like my life has not felt like it had a lot of meaning, if I'm just being honest with you, like I've really been sitting down and reevaluating a lot of things about my life and if I'm bringing good to the world or not. Because sometimes I'm like, you know what? Some people on the internet are right. Like, this is stupid. What good am I bringing to the world? And then I am reminded by folks who comment, who get cameos, who send me DMs and say, Zach, you have no idea how much your videos mean to me and things like that. And then I'm just like, it is a good look in the mirror of like, there is some purpose, you know?
Reminder that this man chose to jump on the Hamas bandwagon after October 7th. Reminder that this man was so inspired by mass murder, rape, and kidnapping that he decided to go on his channel, spout unbelievable propaganda about what was going on in Gaza, and encourage people to send money, which is going to be, I'm sure that every penny was embezzled by Hamas to continue their operations, firing rockets, terrorizing civilians, holding hostages, all of that. So, yeah, you're doing a lot of good in the world, Zach. You're a real peach.
Oh, and not to say that like every one of my videos has to make you all feel that way. If you're also just here for the hee-hees and the ha-has and the pee-pees and the poo-poos, like that's also fine. I'm glad to do that too. But I don't know, it really has been something I've reflected on, and I'm just so grateful that so many of you have shared that. And I think it's been an unintended but great consequence of me making a YouTube channel, of me being here on the internet. When it feels like the world is burning down around me, I am happy that I can have that for you. And it's really honestly been a big part of what has not necessarily always kept me stable, to be honest. But especially in the past month or two specifically, it just felt like my day had meaning. And actually contrary to Amberlynn's point about like me not being able to log on and, you know, make a video because of my mental health. I would say in the past month or two specifically, getting on every day and making a video or live streaming has been a big part of helping me move on. And
you haven't moved on, number one, not based on the summaries of the Twitch channel. And number two, if anything confirms that Zach is essentially a shut-in who has alienated his friends in real life and his family, besides what he himself reveals on his Twitch channel, it's the fact that he has developed this need for attention on the internet from complete strangers, which is always a bad sign. That he has no one in his life that he can turn to, that he can talk to, that he can kiki with, probably because he's driven everybody fucking crazy because of this goddamn breakup. But that's always a bad sign when you become that dependent on your audience. I mean, I was lucky when I first started YouTube because I had a job. And so I had like a whole social life. And I was traveling, I was going overseas, I was doing things that meant that if I went on, you know, the internet for an hour or two a day, I could make some money and I could hop off. And I unfortunately did end up getting caught up in stupid dramas with people who don't matter, over issues that didn't matter, and getting dragged into feuds with, you know, people that I shouldn't have been feuding with based on the opinions of other people who were lying to me. So, you know, that's always a danger too. And luckily, Zach has managed to keep out of all of that. But still, I mean, he's a young man. He's only in his 30s, and he's already getting sucked into this like unreal world of the internet where these people are his support system. And that's bad. I mean, listen, there is no job that I can think of, and he should know. He used to hold down a regular job. There is no job that I can think of where you can go into the office day after day after day and trauma dump all over your colleagues without it having some sort of an impact on the way that your colleagues see you. And indeed, it harms your prospects for promotion. It harms your prospects for professional growth. Because if you see the people who are around you at work as, you know, mini therapists, then that is going to be a problem. It's going to hinder all types of growth. But that's exactly what he's fallen into because he's driven everyone around him crazy, according to his own words.
Move forward. It's given me a purpose every day. It's given me something to do. It's given me time to step away from, you know, maybe other things in my life that stress me out. And also, I've had a lot of time to like reevaluate and figure out other things that I want to do with my life, not necessarily related to YouTube. And I feel like I'm finally starting to put some pieces back together. I feel like I had this idea that I was like this full, final, completed jigsaw puzzle. And then this breakup happened to me and it felt like my pieces were scattered. And I've slowly been picking them up, putting them back together. And I don't know, that feels like a corny metaphor, but like I finally feel like at a minimum I have all the pieces sitting in front of me. And so now it's just up to me to kind of like starting to piece those things together and figure out what things look like for Zachary Michael Marie moving forward, you know? I don't know. This all just felt important because I feel like the last time that I was vulnerable about my mental health. Well, also, can I just say, other things I've also thought about since Amberlynn has brought up my mental health is that over the past like 4 months also, it wasn't even just my mental health that was like keeping me from posting when I couldn't post. Cause like, I don't know if y'all remember or recall, but there was like a span of a month where like I couldn't film a video without coughing. And sometimes that cough was way worse than others. That was like pretty much the entirety of the month of November, if not also a little part of October as well. And then also I went on a couple different trips and things like that. But anyways, what the fuck was I saying? Oh my gosh, I totally got on a tangent about that. Shit. shit. Oh, I feel like the last time that I brought up my mental health, it probably felt like there was a little bit more gloom and despair. And I hope that what you've seen, at least even if I'm not directly talking about my mental health in videos, I hope that you've seen like a return to some energy that I used to have. Like, I don't know, even just like earlier in 2024 before all this stuff happened in my life.
Don't worry, we're going to get to that entry on the subreddit because we're going to see, despite all of this positivity, I'm getting it back together, I'm finally figuring it out. Apparently he hasn't figured it out on Twitch because the Twitch channel is a whole ass mess.
Right? I hope you can see that. And like not every day is going to be like that, and there might be days that I come on here and don't feel up to par or up to, you know, my best, and maybe my best.
You know, I'm glad that you brought that up, Grim, because imagine that one person, a person that you react to, finally has enough, decides to say something very, very mild in response that you could have easily ignored or dismissed with one line, maybe two, and he's still spurging about it. He is still going off about it. How long ago did this happen? Like a week ago? 2 weeks ago? And it's made him so upset that he can't stop talking about it. Why would you give a shit what Amberlynn Reid thinks of you and your mental health? It's Amberlynn Reid. Why are you so triggered by it?
Best is like simply coming here and filming a video or simply showing up to do a stream. But I hope you continue to see me moving on and pushing forward and things like that. Like I have so many hopes of like developing new hobbies and
please
honestly
do.
Like eventually getting to a place where I do want to like be on dating apps again or date or like find new people. I also just like want to make new friends and continue building friendships with people I already have. I want to continue building like my YouTube channel and my Twitch channel. We have so much fun over at Twitch, but I really am not trying to plug it, but we really do. It's like,
yeah, we have so much fun over at Twitch. That's not what I heard. But you know, I'm a cynical person at heart. I guess it's just not my type of content. But okay, Zach, go off.
a real small community of people where like I feel like we get each other and we know what's funny to us as a community, and maybe not everybody gets that, and that's okay. And also we would love to like have you and be a part of that as well. So I don't know. Does all of this make sense?
No.
Is any of this resonating with you?
No.
I just felt like, today was a good day to share some of this and share some of these revelations. And I don't know, maybe it's just because like I'm really looking forward to things coming up in my life that like I'm feeling positive about, and I want to keep planning things like that. But it's like even small things. Like literally this weekend I'm dyeing my hair and getting a little bit of a cut, and I'm getting my nails done, and next week I'm getting another tattoo. And it's just like, new year, new me, girlies. New year, new me, divas. Let's go.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm trying to have a new year, new me. I hope everybody's okay. I hope y'all are all right. So anyways, all of that to say is that, I don't want to just show you all when I'm feeling any type of way about my mental health. Like, I don't want you to get the picture that, like, everything's doom and gloom. And also, like, want to be transparent that everything is not always sunshine and rainbows. But I do want you to know that, like, I'm in a better place. We're moving on and moving up. And YouTube and y'all in the audience have been a big part of that, and I do appreciate that so much. And I hope that also maybe resonates with some of you who are struggling at different times. Like I got a ton of cameo requests in the month of December around the holiday season, which checks out. Like people were getting them as gifts and things like that. And there were a lot of people that wanted like my opinion or my advice on how to like deal with depression, stress, anxiety. Some people even asking about advice for their own breakups, and it's like,
are you serious? People were actually turning to Zachary Michael for advice on how to cope. Does this man look like the kind of person that you should be turning to for advice when a relationship ends? Are you people okay? And again, that tells me a lot more about the audience. If these people are being serious and they're not just trolling him, it tells me a lot more about how messed up his audience is than it does about him, because he is not coping well. Chat. He is not coping well. Let's continue.
I'm not an expert in any of those things. That's honestly why I do often default to like go to therapy, because that's the number one thing that has been helpful for me. But I just hope also maybe like leading by example can be helpful to you all.
Leading by example.
I've always shared about my mental health to some extent in my videos and the things I talk about on the internet, because I hope that people see that there is hope, like honestly, truly, this is not even the worst I've ever felt mental health wise, to be honest with you. Like I went through some shit when I was much younger than I am now, and this has been tough, but like I made it through tougher, that was like a thing that I kept reminding myself. And so I don't know, like let me serve as an example. I don't know, one example though, right? Like it's not one size fits all. Okay.
Oh my God, all the suffering that Zach has endured. Have you forgotten about Gaza, Zach? What is that line? People are dying, Kim. I mean, talk about apropos. Zach, you're sitting in an apartment in Chicago, which is a great city, which if I lived in Chicago, I wouldn't be producing this shitty content that you're producing, okay? I would be going out, I would be trying restaurants, I would be going out to the parks and going hither, thither, and yon. Chicago is one of the greatest cities in the country, and you're sitting in an apartment bitching because Amberlynn fucking Reed made one throwaway comment about your mental health and your output, and you're sitting here spurging about it. And you live in Chicago. I would be trying a different restaurant every day. I would be going out there vlogging, having a great time, and you're sitting on your ass bitching and moaning and making cameos for lonely piss-soaked cat ladies. That is pathetic.
I think I've yapped enough, which was kind of just my goal today, is to get on camera and yap at y'all. This is like a very niche one-off video that I have to share with you. It's not like,
ooh, Grim, that is a tough one. That is a tough one. Are we talking food, or are we talking ambiance, or are we talking what? I mean, Charleston is safer than Chicago. Food-wise, God, that's tough. I wouldn't want to have to make a choice. But Charleston is amazing. And of course, the queen bee, the one that wears the crown, New Orleans. New Orleans. My heart is still with New Orleans. I realized that I didn't eat enough in New Orleans. But yeah, I mean, what a wasted opportunity.
Like I share videos like this all the time, but I did mostly just want to yap at y'all for a little bit today. So anyways, that's all I have time for today. If this is somehow your first video, welcome, divas. Welcome. And yeah, that's all I have time for. So if it's your first video, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell button so you get notifications, leave me a comment.
All right, so much for that. Yeah, the shrimp and grits in Charleston, amazing. Although I will say that I had shrimp and grits in Gulfport, Mississippi, that gave the Charleston shrimp and grits a run for their money. But when it comes to consistency, maybe that was a one-off. Maybe the chef was having a really good day. In terms of consistency, I never ordered a single plate of shrimp and grits in Charleston that I would send back or that I thought wasn't delicious. Charleston wins the shrimp and grits competition by a mile. I had shrimp and grits in New Orleans. Nothing compared to what Charleston has to offer. Incredible. All right, so let's just see what the subreddit had to say about his Twitch. Now, I know it's hard to read. I will read it to you. Consider this to be a kind of story time. All right, the title is, and this was from a day ago. All right, so this is not ancient history. Zach is still obsessed with Noel, has no true friends, and is trying to date Z-list celebrities. All right. Hey, divas. I've tuned into some of Zach's streams this week, so I thought I'd do a little recap. Spoiler alert, he's literally spent hours talking about Noel again. So never mind about everything that he just said. This is what he's been saying on Twitch. He mentioned repeatedly that he had a dream the one night about Noel where he was reliving the entire breakup and he was majorly pressed about it. Okay, so now he's talking about the dream on Twitch and on YouTube. He said up until that point he was feeling optimistic about the breakup recently, but the dream really fucked him up. Dramatic much? Then during one stream, he was really thrown off because he got a text from one of Noel's friends. Apparently, this friend had used Zach and Noel's address to forward their mail to, and after the breakup, Zach received some important mail for the person. So instead of reaching out to the person directly, Zach unblocked Noel and tried to reach out to him. Noel repeatedly ignored him. God, leave that man alone, Zach. Just leave him alone. So Zach then reached out to the friend, and the friend was just getting back to him during the stream. The friend said they would pick up the mail from him sometime and that she would change the address. For some reason, this was a huge ordeal for Zach, and he acted like it was super triggering. Well, of course, because everything's triggering for him these days. He said it about made my heart stop when he saw the friend's name, for God's sake. He ranted about this for a good while. It sounds like you really have your life together, Zach. I wonder if this is the real life shit he has to deal with that he's always yelling at Amber Lynn about. Imagine that this is a problem. Imagine that this is your biggest concern. Then he laments again about how he lost friends during the breakup. He said he had a dream that he was more dreams. What is this? This is like Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. How does this man remember his dreams, though? Does anybody else remember dreams? I never remember my dreams, but okay, King. He said he had a dream that he was confronting all of them about how they ditched him, and they told him in the dream that he's crazy, and they don't want anything to do with him. Maybe that's actually something that happened in real life. He said there's 3 people, he said that there's 3 people he felt close to that have just outright abandoned him, and they haven't given him a chance to tell his side of the story. Though he did talk to one of his friends and told them his side of the story, and that friend still took Noel's side and has cut off all contact with Zach. LMAO, what the fuck did you do, Zachary Marie? All right, so basically, his friends have dumped him because he's a pant load, unless he's still talking about dreaming all this. I'm having a hard time following. He also says he's frustrated because he invested a lot of time and effort in those friendships, and so he's mad that they aren't here for him in his time of need. Okay, so that happened in real life. Damn, he really likes to feel like people are indebted to him. He should examine that in therapy. Then he said he still has space for Noel in his life in the future. but that there would be a lot of conditions to that. Maybe he wants the Netflix password back, and he wants his bidet back. And a lot of work would have to be done. Bestie, Noel clearly doesn't want anything to do with you. And he most definitely is not going to work to be in your life again. Please be serious. What an asshole. He also made a bizarre comment that he has tons of friends, but he doesn't feel emotionally connected to any of them. Are they really your friends then? That's probably his audience that he's talking about. I really wonder what his definition of a friend is. Sounds like they're more acquaintances than anything. Zach then talks about how he's feeling hopeful for the future of his dating life lately. He doesn't think he will ever not be in love with Noel or completely over him, so he feels like he might as well start dating again anyways. Okay. But he says he has no game and that he consistently fails at flirting with people. And, the funny thing is, somebody pointed out on Kiwi Farms that it's funny that Amber Lynn has more game than Zachary Michael, but he's always criticizing her, which is true. He said he's been trying to flirt with a Twitch streamer called Scootish in his streams. Scootish told Zach he was going to be in Chicago weeks ago, and Zach said they could hang out, and Scootish never responded to him. He also said he was high, and he DM'd some comedian named Max Eddy asking for details about some other non-binary comedian. Oh, not this again. And then the next day, Zach was embarrassed, and so he DM'd Max again and said, "Sorry, I was high and gay and thirsting, LMAO, but very much only just gay now, so my apologies." And Max never responded. Well, okay, Max, I think, saw the warning signs. He also DM'd another stand-up comedian and told them that their cat was everything. I thought that Zach hated cats. Doesn't he hate his mom's cats? Wasn't he triggered when he saw that his mom brought kittens home? Anyway, and he's allergic to cats too, apparently. And the person replied, "I know." And Zach was shocked that they responded. So he said, "You are so lucky to have her." From the man who doesn't like cats and who's allergic to them, but whatever. The person, of course, never responded again. For some reason, Zach thinks this is flirting. Oh my God, the delusion. He really is out here chasing Z-list celebrities in the DMs. Oh, and he also mentions that he's getting a haircut this weekend, and he's also reached out to someone online about getting another tattoo, but he's not sure yet if the tattoo place is legit or a scam. Zach, I am sure that there are more than enough tattoo parlors in Chicago. Why are you reaching out? The whole life is online at this point. Hope you all enjoyed this update. I am enjoying Zach's quest to find a suitable celebrity partner that is totally on the same level as him. Hope none of you plebs were getting your hopes up thinking you'd have a chance with the great Zachary Marie. But also, don't forget to slide into his dusty DMs. Well, that was very mean, but at the same time, it's just what Zach is talking about on Twitch. Telling you, this guy, man. Oh, really? Okay. I've never heard of any of these people. But okay. So Zach is being thirsty. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes. And the funny thing is, don't these people understand that eventually, if they stare into the abyss long enough, the abyss stares back? That's exactly what's happened with this guy. It's exactly what's happened. He's so out to lunch in terms of his level of fame. And I mean, God, his audience must really blow smoke up his ass 24/7. Really, really crazy. But that's sad. But I don't feel sorry for him because he's so completely out to lunch. His audience does him absolutely no favors. And then you end up in a situation like this one. And that's pathetic. So now that we have covered Zach and in all of his non-binary glory, all right, we are going to move on. We're going to do one more Magdalen Berns video. I was going to do the one about Charles Clymer, but it's full of copyrighted shit, and I'm not in the mood. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not going to do that one. But there was one that was posted on the farms that I was going to play in my Magdalen Berns stream that I decided to skip, and now I've decided that I am going to include it. Yeah, exactly. They're nothing special. They're nothing special, and what they start to realize after a while is that they have to get meaner and nastier and crueler in order to maintain or grow an audience, or at least just to keep the money flowing. And then you find yourself in a situation where you are mooing on stream because fucking Amberlynn Reed said something about you. You must be joking. Hi, Queen Reindeer. It's good to see you. All right, so this was a good one. This was a good one. This is a good way to close out the Magdalen Berns tribute, although I am going to be playing something very difficult after this, because I saw something on Twitter yesterday that was so shocking that I couldn't believe that it was real. And so I didn't retweet it. Not yesterday anyway. I retweeted it today because some people did some research into the clip. And I'm not going to give too much away, but just when you think you've seen it all. All right, so let's hear what Queen Magdalen had to say.
Everyone, this video is a Christmas present from men's rights activist Farron Mayer to me.
You may have seen President-elect Trump tweeting about his indignant distaste for the recent Alec Baldwin SNL impersonation of his reckless tweeting habits.
I heard about it, but I wasn't following it closely, if I'm honest, because American politics kind of bores the hell out of me most of the time.
Okay, I want to explain who Theron Meyer is. Theron Meyer is a South African transgender individual by way of Canada. Theron Meyer, as you can see, is quite lovely. Has had some really great surgery done. Theron Meyer wanted to hop on the Blair White bandwagon and make a name for herself by offering right-wing political commentary and basically being a thirst trap for incels online and confusing the fuck out of everybody because Theron passes very, very well, right? Theron Meyer ended up getting into a very cringy, weird relationship that I can't quite define with that pretentious pantload ContraPoints. And it was one of those cute little matchups like, oh, Theron is on the right and ContraPoints is, hard left, a bread tuber. Whatever will come of it? Well, nothing apparently, but it was cringy while it lasted. And then Theron apparently started to drift more to the left, and then people gave up on her because she was a total phony, and it was a whole thing. All right, so let's continue.
The time is kind of shoved in our faces.
Former PR director of American Atheists and self-described civil rights activist and transgender woman.
I start to get a sense of how anti-feminists must feel when they say the phrase, feminism is eating itself.
Danielle Moscato chimed in with a Twitter rant gone viral. She went from 3,500 to 90,000 followers on Twitter.
Farron's raging about this.
But what I want to talk about isn't her Twitter rant or her activism. Instead, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Pun intended, you'll see later.
I think Farron is suggesting that Danielle Moscato might be fat. Not sure what it has to do with the rest of his commentary, but
none of the media coverage has addressed, and that everyone seems pretty much dead silent on.
Farron might be getting upset about something which us TERFs get upset about quite regularly.
That's right.
I don't know about you guys, but when I hear that someone's transgender, I immediately want to see how they look and check out their transition and see where it's at.
People can dress how they want, as far as I'm concerned.
Still men.
As long as they don't lie about reality.
They're
So
still
let's have a
men.
look at Miss Danielle Moscato.
So this will be interesting.
Can't wait to see her. I like her last name, Moscato. Ooh, I like white wine. I like sweet white wine. That's so feminine. Ooh.
Farron, are you alright there? You sound a bit like you're having a mental break.
Let's have a very warm welcome to Danielle.
Yep. Danielle Moscato, everybody.
Farron is overcompensating because Danielle Moscato is representing the transgender community and making no effort to be feminine.
That's right.
What?
Flicking the hair and...
How's everybody doing?
Yeah, and this individual, this person, I mean, it's all fun and games, isn't it? It's
Oh,
all
what?
good fun.
Flicking the hair and
How's everybody doing?
This individual, you know, we can all sit around and laugh and point and all that, but Daniel Moscato is someone who has tried to invade women's spaces. He tried to get in there claiming to be a woman and saying it was like some sort of a crisis center. I don't know if it was rape crisis or it was a woman's shelter. He tried to gain admission to a woman's shelter by claiming to be a woman. We can all sit around and laugh because look at him, for fuck's sake. And he likes to take pictures of himself wandering around dressed in a muumuu. And he's like he was all into all the trendy causes, you know, BLM and anti-Trump and anti-right wing and all of this shit. And these lunatics in the TRA crowd were accepting this claim that this individual is a woman with absolutely no questions. So then that opened up a whole Pandora's box about, well, is this person really transgender if they've clearly made absolutely no effort to transition? Well, according to your rules, guys, yes, he is. Because all he did was stand up and declare that he was a woman and everybody had to take him at his word and kowtow to him. So, yeah, that's how that works. Let's go.
Doing?
Confused.
qualified silliness.
You're Danelle. Oh, okay.
It's because he's so freaked out by what we said.
You can move closer if you'd like. I'm going to be giving some stuff away.
Actual classic.
And if you want it, it's easier for me to give it to you if you're up here.
Will it be your masculinity? Because that seems like it might be a good thing to give away.
But no. Transgender identity isn't about masculine and
That's
feminine
right.
stereotypes. It's so much more than
That's
that.
right.
Sorry, chugging on some cum.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Now, let's be fair. This clip is from a year ago. So let's check out her Twitter and see if there's been any progress since.
Look at him.
Nope, still looks like that overly friendly uncle of mine that I have these vague, suppressed childhood flashbacks of for reasons I cannot recall.
I really don't know what to say about that.
No,
But,
what is there to
moving
say?
on.
Seriously, I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe when I see news outlets cover this story with text referring to this person as she.
Do you know what?
I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe when I see men who refuse to acknowledge the fact that they are in fact male. I can say she as a courtesy. I have no problem. I have no problem referring to Theron Meyer or Mayer or Blair White or anybody like that as she, because I'm not a complete dick. All right. I'm not going to totally dismiss any efforts that these people have made to appear feminine. But at the same time, they are biological males. And I find it hilarious that there's like this distinction made. Well, you know, if you've tried really hard, I mean, okay, so I just contradicted myself. Whatever. The point is that because of the extreme positions taken on by the transgender community, we now have to put Theron Mayer, Buck Angel, Laverne Cox, and, you know, people like that who have made an effort to pass. And then you have the reality-based ones who will openly admit and say, look, I'm not a woman, I'm not a man, I am trans, whatever. And that's fine. And I accept that. And I think that that's absolutely true. And then you have the Danielle Moscatos who are clearly not all together up here. And I have to call this individual she over my dead fucking body. No.
But that's exactly how I feel every time I see rapes that are committed by male transgender women and murders that are committed by male transgender women being reported as if they were committed by women. And I see those every day.
And then right next to it, a picture of this person with like a fully fledged astroturf of a neckbeard carpet.
This is...
I mean, you guys, we have been gaslighted for so long. We have been bullied and pressured and forced to accept all of this as real that I cannot tell you what a relief it is to see the pendulum swinging back, and people fighting back and demanding that real crime statistics be presented, like factual ones, and not this bullshit of, oh, a woman has murdered XYZ, a woman has raped another woman, when we know that that's not true. It is absolutely, categorically fucking false. And there is a reason why we need to keep accurate crime statistics. And thank God, people are now finally speaking out and saying enough is enough.
What we were telling you would happen, and you refused to listen because you wanted your identity to be validated.
It's like, okay, cool prank internet. You can stop now, lolsies.
Here it is happening in front of you now, exposing your bullshit.
But no, apparently this is the world we live in, where women can look like Larry the Cable Guy's playing Bob in a live-action spin-off of Bob's Burgers.
The issue is not what Daniel Moscato looks like. The issue is that he's a bloke pretending to be a woman.
Right.
Just like you're a bloke pretending to be a woman. Where is the line? The line must be defined by biology, because the rest of it is subjective. And that's where we go when we start blurring the lines between subjective reality and objective reality.
Danielle officially came out as transgender in a post she made on Patheos back in November of 2014.
Mate, you're reading far too much into this individual case of Daniel Moscato. I've come across hundreds of Daniel Moscatos on my travels, and I've done tens of videos on this subject. These guys are never ending. Just search them on the internet. See the ones that reply to me if you want to laugh. Everywhere, mate. Everywhere.
And this is where I found the smoking gun.
Smoking gun. Blokes have been trying to get into female spaces for a long time. Women have been going on about this for ages. All you had to do was listen.
Is that a gun in your pocket, Mr. Officer, or are you just trigger happy to see me?
Yeah, I'm sure the bisexual, homosexual blokes that watch your channel and enjoy fetishizing you love all that shit, but... Exactly, bruv. 4 to 2 years later, and this person has obviously made zero efforts to transition. I would ask my viewers to observe the narcissistic rage in Theron's face.
Yet Danielle expects to be referred to as a woman.
Yeah, but that's the point, though, is that the movement became so diluted and so extreme that all that a man had to do was stand up and declare that he was a woman, and we all had to accommodate that individual. Not just with pronouns, that's the least of our worries. In terms of categorization, in terms of applying for women's jobs, in terms of getting on women's sports teams, in terms of giving into these delusions. And you think to, and in terms, of course, of putting them in women's prisons. And some of us stood up and said, fuck this. This is not going to fly. There are going to be terrible, terrible repercussions if we don't have gatekeeping when it comes to medicalizing and operating on children. And I'm getting to that point. And if we don't put our foot down and say, God damn it, we've all gone crazy. We cannot put violent men in a prison with women. We cannot allow them into rape crisis centers or women's shelters. We cannot allow the Danielle Moscatos of the world to run roughshod and run rampant through these women's spaces. We can't allow it. And then you end up with Nancy Mace and people say that she's crazy. And then we have a problem, because then there's no way to come up with a solution to this problem. We can't, because the trans rights activists are too fucking extreme, and there has to be a point where you just slam the brakes on the whole business.
To be referred to as she and her, and apparently they're getting what they want.
Theron can't bring himself to you.
And it pisses me the fuck off, by the way, when that transgender individual who starred in Amelia Perez is nominated for an award at the BAFTAs in the woman's category as Best Actress. There are, 5 spaces, and one of them is taken up by a biological male. Now, am I going to get up on a pulpit? Am I going to get up on a high horse and start screeching about it? I've noticed it. And it's the same thing with women's sports, and it's the same thing with women's this, that, and the other. It just bothers the fuck out of me. Giving biological males Woman of the Year awards. And then the people that they choose, I mean, that doesn't help. And now that it's award season, people are paying more attention to this shit and pointing out that if it wasn't for the political message that is being conveyed in Amelia Perez, that shitty movie would never have been nominated for anything and would not have gotten the attention and the accolades that it's gotten. I mean, it's a movie that has basically offended the entire country of Mexico. The message is hardly conveyed in a subtle fashion. And now we've got at the BAFTAs this individual being nominated. Is it the BAFTAs or the Screen Actors Guild? Maybe both. I don't know. But it's infuriating. It really is infuriating. Let's continue.
Use male pronouns for Danielle.
It's always the case that when a trans person delays their commencement of their transition, it's because they're in a situation where they can't yet come out to their friends, family, co-workers.
I think in a majority of cases, actually, it's got a lot to do with money, but I get the vibe that Farron doesn't really know much about struggling with money.
But in this case, this person has been out for the past 2 years and still hasn't started to transition.
Yeah, I think we've all established that Danielle Moscato is a troll. I don't think anyone with any sense doesn't recognise that.
And I mean, they're presenting as male on their Twitter, on TV, everywhere in the media, at schools, at their public appearances, at debates, at panel discussions. I mean, sure, transitioning can be a difficult and awkward process, especially in the beginning, but every trans person needs to start somewhere.
You're a man, accept it, deal with it. You're a feminine man, a beautiful man, a pretty man, whatever you want to be, but you're a man.
And it's the conscious effort that counts.
Do I look like I'm making any kind of conscious effort here?
It shows that you do in fact have the internal inclinations that compel you to manifest your female identity in the physical world.
What are you on about, mate? I don't make any effort to look female, and people still can tell I'm female.
In fact, this notion that gender identity and gender expression are completely disconnected and unrelated.
Well, thank you at least for admitting it, because the majority of trans activists lie about this.
Why then would the majority of trans people actually undergo hormone therapy and change their body size to represent the opposite sex?
I really hope that liberal feminists watch this video so that they can have a good hard look at themselves when they make the assertion that they are somehow breaking gender binaries.
I mean, the way by which I know that I am female.
Distinguished biologically.
You're not
by
female.
The production of gametes that can
You
be
are not
fertilized
female.
by male
No.
gametes. I don't think so, hon. You are not female.
No.
The absolute joy and happiness that I experience when I notice that my boobs have grown, or that my face looks more feminine than it used to, or passing in public.
It's quite clear that transgender identity is the masculine and feminine stereotypes.
I do take it personally that I have to share the title of trans woman with this junk.
I take it personally that I'm asked to share the definition of female and woman with you. I wouldn't call you a joke, but you're a bloke.
It not only completely undermines the tragic transgender circumstance of having one's body be in conflict with one's sense of self,
And the smallest violin is playing for this dude.
but it also makes a mockery of the effort and dedication that trans people have to put in to transform and overcome their physical reality.
This is a mockery of the effort and dedication us Londoners put in to overcoming physical reality and become white South Africans.
It scares me that people are willing to betray with their words the obvious reality that they see in front of their eyes.
Yeah, and Theron, you look very feminine. You do. You were born a man. And it doesn't mean that you need to be persecuted. It doesn't mean that you need to be chased around with pitchforks and torches. It doesn't mean any of that. And again, I can call you she. I have no problem with that because, like I said, I'm not that big of a dick. I'm not that much, wedded into that whole gender critical movement that is so extreme that you can't, have a common courtesy. You can't be polite in polite society to avoid getting into fucking fights with every single person you cross paths with. But we have a problem, you guys. We have a problem. And the problem is not Theron Meyer, who has basically vanished. It's not Blair White. It's not people like that. I'm about to show you what the problem is.
For the sake of political correctness.
The obvious reality is that I am a white South African because I have made all this effort.
The power of political correctness as a psychosocial phenomenon,
These politically correct bastards.
and as it manifests itself in the curious case of Danielle Moscato, truly scares me.
South African.
I'm going to call out this leftist bullshit for what it is.
And I'm going to call out your bullshit.
Call me a transphobic bigot all you want.
Here's the calling out bullshit in 2017.
Drag me to a human rights tribunal. I don't care. Suck my dick.
Oh, the human rights tribunals. The human rights tribunals that certain Canadians think, the sun rises and sets on. Tomorrow, I've got an absolutely amazing. Hang on, I'm responding to a DM. I'm going to show you something that is absolutely terrifying. This is something that I ran across on Twitter. Now, how many times have some of us warned everyone that the effort to medicate and drug young people had gone too far? How many times have we said that? How many times have we said that we've seen too many cases where this has been abused? We've been lied to by the experts. We've been lied to by the doctors. We've been lied to by so many people. I found an example that was so appalling. Now, I thought that I had seen everything when I would go on Twitter and I would see like chin to hip shots of young women who had had their perfectly healthy breasts removed, double mastectomies. And you could see that all the way up their arms and across their chest and down and across their torso, they were covered in self-harm scars. And I had to ask myself, what kind of a doctor would take a look at a patient like that? What kind of a therapist would take a look at a patient like that and not try to delve into the reasons why a person who engaged in that type of self-harm, well, first of all, why are they doing it? What are the underlying reasons for why a young woman would engage in that type of behavior? What trauma are they trying to cover up or cope with by cutting themselves like that? And then to go to a surgeon who agrees to the ultimate form of self-harm by removing healthy breasts from a perfectly healthy young woman and openly participating in their self-harm habit, which is appalling. I found something worse, and I didn't think I ever would. This is far, far, far worse. All right. The story behind the story, a video of a young woman with a congenital disorder showing off fresh breast removal scars has gone viral. The posts have no context and are being used for engagement farming, but who is the woman? The woman used in trans activist content is Mara Leroy, a Minneapolis-based 19-year-old who changed her name to Micah Leroy. The woman has an extremely woke, anti-Trump, leftist activist mother. Mara is also surrounded by others who record videos and photos of her medical and surgical transition for social media. Minnesota State Rep, and then it's got the account, had met with Mara and her mother in a post celebrating the eradication of sex-based rights in her state. She lives in Minnesota. Mara's mother, Catherine Jean Leroy, is extremely woke and has involved her child in her leftist activism. Mara was medically transitioned with cross-sex hormones when she was still in high school. She recently had her breasts removed at 19 years old. All right, so you may say, okay, but she's 19. What's the big deal? I'll show you what the big deal is. I'll show you what the big deal is. This is the big deal. This is her. Somebody please tell me, where is the informed consent here? Somebody please explain to me who gave informed consent for this procedure to be conducted. Who gave informed consent for this young woman to be put on the hormones and to transition? And then who gave informed consent? Who signed the release form for the doctor to perform this surgery? Look. Look at this. 1 week and 5 days on T. It's starting to make acne more than before. Look at her. And here it is, surrounded by, the Minnesota State Rep. Together, we're taking steps to transform our education system with gender-inclusive restrooms and locker rooms, teachers of color, ethnic studies, mental health supports, pre-K, and more. This is where the Minnesota budget surplus is going. I can tell you guys that, like I said, I thought that I had seen it all. I did. And apparently the mother is not the only problem. The father is a problem too. Apparently they're both on board with this. Taking a young woman who is so severely disabled, a young woman who cannot speak based on the video clips that we've seen, and they mutilated this girl for political purposes and to fit in with a certain demographic, I mean, what would you even call this? Is this like a form of Munchausen? Is that what this is? For a parent to sit down and sign their severely disabled child up for this treatment. This is inevitably where we were going to end up. We had to end up here. We had to. The whole notion of first do no harm apparently has gone out the fucking window. And this is exactly why I was very reluctant to share it, because I didn't know if it was real. Okay. And there were people who were looking into this case to determine that this young woman didn't have breast cancer, and that there wasn't some medical reason for this extremely radical surgery being performed on her. And my biggest fear is that now we're going to progress into the arena of bottom surgery, and that they're going to get into the whole process of flaying skin off her arm or thigh to create a fake penis and doing all of that, which will put her health tremendously at risk. But obviously, this young woman was in no position to give consent for this procedure. And I wonder how her mother even, I mean, obviously Minnesota has no standards whatsoever if they're willing to green light an operation like this for a young woman who obviously is not in a position to give consent. I am astonished, but I'm astonished that it actually happened, but I'm not astonished that it happened eventually. I will say it that way. I'm not astonished by that. Now, I'm going to play one more thing for you guys, because I think that it just highlights something that is like really disturbing. Okay. So, and I'm going to close out with this because I actually have to run an errand. And that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had a fucking meltdown over trans people, trans girls specifically, competing on sports teams. And the House passed a law, or passed a bill. It still has to get through the Senate. Nobody knows if it will or not. We'll see. But I just wanted to play you a little snippet, and I've left a link to this woman's channel in the description box. Her name is Irene BritUSA, and then we're going to wrap it up. So let me bring this up. Let me blow this up, and let's go. I think this woman's channel is really good, by the way. Let's go.
She made when it came to the bathroom bills that Nancy Mace was pushing through to ensure that men do not walk into women's bathrooms in the Capitol and in other federal buildings, claiming that enforcing this rule is going to require women to have their private parts inspected in order to enter into the women's bathroom, in order to prove that they are female. And then she brought up the only topic that Democrats seem to care about when talking about women's rights.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Madam Ranking Member. Here we are today, Republicans who have voted consistently against the Violence Against Women Act, who have taken away the right of all women to choose and have control over their own body, who as women are bleeding out in parking lots across the country, standing
Where?
there, allowing
Where?
us to die, now want to pretend today that they care about women. And why? To open up gender and, yes, genital examinations into little girls in this country.
That is a monstrous lie. That is a monstrous lie. Genital examination, what, by some weirdo who is patrolling the locker room? No. This is now the favorite talking point of people who insist on putting boys on girls' teams.
The so-called name of attacking trans girls. And to that, today, what we have to say are two words: not today. The majority right now says there's no place in this bill that says it opens up for genital examinations. Well, here's the thing. There's no enforcement mechanism in this bill. And when there is no enforcement mechanism, you open the door to every enforcement mechanism. Trans girls are girls.
No, they're not.
And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all. I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time. But what this also opens the door for is for women to try to perform a very specific kind of femininity for the very kind of men who are drafting this bill, and to open up questioning of who is a woman because of how we look, how we present ourselves, and yes, what we choose to do with our bodies. I know who loves this bill. Yes, bigoted folks love this bill.
Oh, God.
Assaulters love this bill. But also, CEOs love this bill. Because Los Angeles is on fire right now.
Oh, my God.
And this is the number one priority this majority has. Thank you, and I yield back.
Okay, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you're absolutely nuts, okay? Determining the sex of a person who is going to try out for a sports team could be easily determined with a simple cheek swab. It doesn't have to be invasive. Nobody has to drop their pants, okay? But I really find it funny when people like AOC take to the House floor or start speechifying about things that don't matter to them. They don't care that these young men are cheating. They don't care that there have been numerous incidents in locker rooms where young women have been made to feel uncomfortable and then threatened that they would be getting in trouble if they made life difficult for that one young man who insists on being in that locker room. They don't care about the women who are trying to protect their daughters in bathrooms or in spas or whatever. They don't care about that. And this unbelievable insistence that trans girls are girls. No, they're not. They're not. They're boys who are being medicated and they're boys who are being operated on. They are not girls. They are not girls. And if you get to the point where you're past puberty and the bone development has taken place or is taking place and the natural changes in the body have taken place, then a young man has no place. None. And this is exactly the kind of thing that will absolutely be abused. And it has been abused. We've seen over and over and over again. Over and over and over again, this desire to destroy Title IX, which by their own admission would only apply to a very, very small number of athletes. Well, if it's such a small, and it's a small number now, it's a small number now because it's been sort of put in check. But how many scholarships are going to be given to boys that should have gone to girls? How many opportunities are being given to males that should have gone to females? And not only in the sports arena, but also in jobs and, awards and other categories. How many more are going to be given up to males? And it is absolutely infuriating. It's infuriating. Now, if you had a case where you had a kid who had gone on puberty blockers because parents are fucking psycho and they put their kids on these drugs at younger and younger ages, and the kid never went through puberty, then you could have a conversation. Then you could create a space, I think, for a young man or a young male person. But if the kid has gone through puberty, absolutely not. And to set this precedent has been horribly, horribly, horribly damaging. It's been damaging. It's been damaging. And too many young women and too many fully grown women, specifically the ones in places like, I don't know, a prison, have been put at risk because of this insane belief that men can announce that they're women and they become women magically, and that means that they can be locked up with women, vulnerable women in prison. It is madness. It is absolute madness. And I don't care if it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 10. 1 is one too many. It should not be happening. An intact male should never be locked up behind bars with a woman. A natural born woman. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So we don't know what the status will be. Well, we don't know because this bill still has to be voted on by the Senate. We'll see what happens. And I firmly reject those who say that this is just one big distraction and there are more important things. Yeah, we always, as a nation and in Congress, they always have 100 priorities that they need to focus on. And is this the most important issue facing the nation? Well, it depends on who you ask. Not everybody lives in Los Angeles. I hate to put it that way. And I'm not saying this to be heartless or rude or cruel. I'm just saying that this issue with boys on girls' sports teams, boys in female locker rooms, and men, this is a nationwide problem. All right. And California is going to have a huge, huge reckoning with what happened with those fires. Okay, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass need to be dragged from pillar to post for allowing things to get so out of control and cutting the fire budget and doing whatever else was done that created a perfect storm where these fires could rage out of control. And we still don't know, by the way, if they were deliberately set, which in my opinion they were, because most wildfires do have a human origin. And if they were deliberately set, who set them? I mean, I have theories, but we don't know if it was arson yet. So I'm not going to give up all of my theories yet. I don't want to sound like a complete nut. But the point is that California is going to have to handle that. And there are going to be huge, huge problems going forward. What are they going to do? What are the insurance companies going to do? What is the state going to do? Is anybody going to be willing to move back into those neighborhoods and rebuild? Or are people just going to pick up and leave and go somewhere else? I personally do not think it is a coincidence that these fires broke out in such wealthy neighborhoods. All right. Compton wasn't on fire. Skid Row wasn't on fire. If you take a look at where these fires broke out, you will definitely notice a pattern. And I'll break my promise earlier. Do I think that it is possible that there was some sort of crazy Greta Thunberg lunatic type, some Extinction Rebellion type person who decided to take a page out of Luigi Mangioni's book and go after the wealthiest residents in Los Angeles? I can't rule it out. The same thing with Antifa. Again, if you look at where those fires broke out, you'll notice that there is a distinct pattern. So if that's the case, then Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are going to have a lot of explaining to do to extremely wealthy residents of Los Angeles and other cities, other areas, and explain why they are putting their largest tax base at risk. I'm just saying. So anyway, and fire insurance. And I know for a fact that State Farm canceled their fire insurance, and that was a problem. I don't know how many other insurance companies canceled their fire insurance right before the fires broke out. And a lot of these people, you can say, well, they're so wealthy and they own multiple properties. Sure, but whatever memories they had in that house, the articles, the artifacts, the collections, the photographs, the photo albums, keepsakes are gone. They're all gone. And not everybody who was affected is Paris Hilton. Not everybody is Mark Hamill or James Woods or a super, super wealthy celebrity. or Mel Gibson. Not all of them have that kind of money. And a lot of them are going to have a real problem. They have nothing now. Nothing. Not all of them own multiple properties across the country or around the world that they can escape to. So it's tragic and it's heartbreaking, and I'm almost dreading what is going to be discovered going forward about these fires. And a lot of people are going to have to answer for it, and that's what they were elected to do. They wanted those jobs, now they're going to have to do them. It's not all ribbon-cutting ceremonies and red carpet and stuff and traveling to Africa when your ass should have been in Los Angeles looking out for your city. So anyway, okay, guys, I have to go run an errand like right now. So I will see you tomorrow. I found an amazing story about a man who was one of the people who was harassed by the police for Twitter posts. And it shows you how far the UK has gone, and it shows you what you can do when you fight back against this bullshit. So anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow, and I promise you it's going to be a good one. You guys aren't going to believe what you see. So thanks for being here, and I will see you the next time. Thanks, guys.